There is a small isolated wood in the US state of Virginia which is saturated with mysterious phenomena born of its dark history. The preternatural level of bizarre and otherworldly occurrences has led it to be regarded as one of the most haunted and even cursed locations in Virginia, if not the whole of the US. The 50-acre area of dense, dark pine woods and swampy marshland known as Old House Woods has been a favourite port and hideout both for soldiers and the most treacherous of pirates. The human lust for gold and power, with its attendant mayhem, have left the area with an eerie reputation for bizarre legends and psychic phenomena over the last 2 centuries. The name Old House Woods originally derives from an abandoned 1700s colonial wooden framed house called the Franny Knight House, which was once standing in the middle of the woodland. The rundown structure was known to be haunted by spirits and to have set itself on fire, then mysteriously put itself out without human intervention. Here are some of the mystifying phenomena infesting Old House Woods. Buried treasure. There are abundant legends of treasure and riches buried throughout the area by both British soldiers and pirates since the 1600s. Pirates who secreted a huge stash of gold coins here before setting out to plunder more were apparently lost at sea in a turbulent storm, but eerily have not given up on regaining their trove, even from the afterlife. To this day, there still persist regular sightings of a gang of spectral pirates digging along White Creek, still striving to unearth their long-lost treasure. Another stash of valuables is said to have been shipped for safekeeping by England's King Charles II in 1651, out of concern that he may have to flee England following the Battle of Worcester. His ship was deflected from its course by a storm and ended up seized upon by bandits who savagely slayed the crew, planning to return later to retrieve the riches. However, whether perishing in a storm or executed for their crimes, the rogues never collected the loot, which is now said to be protected by the restless souls of King Charles' sailors. Of course, the deceased bandits have also been seen digging for the treasure in the dark of night, sometimes carrying ghostly gleaming lanterns. The spiritual plane in the woods must get a bit crowded at night, as there are also reports of phantom British Revolutionary War soldiers seeking to retrieve a large hoard of stolen tinder stashed prior to their arrest in 1781. They are said to have hidden the booty of gold and silver coins in order to make good their escape from advancing patriots, but were never to return in this life. A bizarre rumour about the numerous displaced treasures is that they somehow make those seeking them disappear. There have been disturbing stories of would-be treasure seekers exploring the woods for its hidden bounty, only to never be seen again. One particularly frightening story is that of one such treasure seeker who purportedly discovered one of the stashes and whose boat was later found cast adrift in the bay, loaded with antique gold coins but minus its owner. The man was reportedly never sighted again. It is a disturbing possibility that such alleged disappearances are related to the paranormal phenomena of the Phantom Treasure Guardians. Ghost ships. Another mystifying phenomenon is the appearance of entire ghost ships that materialise in the area. The best known account of these is a sighting recorded in the late 19th century by a fisherman called Ben Ferriby, who was out working in his boat when he observed a huge mast wooden vessel, like a galleon, to suddenly materialise. He later described the ancient vessel as having lights at every mast and spar, and said that shadowy crew members were visible standing on the deck, staring off into the distance. The strange huge ship was ploughing straight towards Ferriby's boat, and his panicked shouting seemed to go unheard by the ship's crew. He desperately manoeuvred his tiny skiff, which seemed to be on a collision course with a catastrophic accident appearing inevitable. However, the enormous galleon loomed over him and proceeded right past him without the disaster he had anticipated, leaving boiling waves and echoing harp music in its wake. Ferriby was astonished to see it continue on its course, drifting onwards over the beach and then floating up above the woods, as smoothly as if it was still sailing on water. He then observed the rope ladder being dangled down the side of the mystical galleon, and then men carrying tools and other contraptions clambering down it to disappear into the wilderness beyond. Other sightings of phantom ships in the area usually involve a large wooden sailing vessel like a Spanish galleon, materializing and hovering over water, sometimes as high as 50 feet above the waves, as well as over land and wooded areas before vanishing, sometimes in front of startled witnesses. Usually, the ghost ship is completely silent and often observed to be enveloped in a mysterious drifting fog. Sometimes, shadowy crew members are seen on the decks, dark phantoms who seem oblivious to any efforts to communicate with them. Some observers have witnessed the ships halting in mid-air directly over the Old House Woods, where they proceed to release ghostly crew who disperse to either similarly research the area or instantly vanish. Apparitions, as well as ghost ships, are the many varied strange apparitions said to inhabit Old House Woods. One well-known phenomenon is the ethereal figure of a woman who is described as clothed in a rippling white gown, often seen glowing with a blue or green radiance, and with her hair appearing in a stream as if whipped about by the wind, even when the night is still. Terrifyingly, eerie woman is seen walking amongst the trees or even hovering above the ground while releasing an ear-piercing, chilling scream. Legend has it that her emergence is an omen of an approaching storm, which has earned her the moniker of the Storm Woman. It is also believed by some that seeing the Storm Woman can portend doom, and it is advised to leave the place where she's been sighted, as her presence almost certainly represents a warning that a nasty storm will soon devastate the area. Another frequently reported paranormal occurrence is the appearance of spectral Revolutionary War-era British redcoats throughout the dense trees in the woods. A local resident called Henry Forrest later recounted that when out hunting ducks one night, he reached an inlet where he spotted what seemed to be a gathering of black ducks sitting on the water. Preparing to take aim, he raised his rifle, only to stare in horror as before his eyes the black shape started to change, pulse and extend into the large, frightening figure of ghostly redcoat soldiers. As they started to march towards the appalled man, Forrest made a swift retreat back to where his small boat was moored. Even more shockingly, one of the phantom redcoats was casually sitting inside his boat. Forrest claims that he then threatened to fire at the uncanny interloper, and that his response was, "You shoot, and the devil's curse to you and your traitor's breed." Undeterred, Forrest pulled the trigger, only to hear a lame click. He attempted to fire again and again, without any success at getting his gun to work. As the spectral redcoat began to rise menacingly, Forrest finally threw his rifle at it and fled in terror. Similar accounts have been reported of people being approached by marching troops, the ghostly redcoats, or even fired at by them, with the ethereal bullets passing through bodies or objects without causing any damage. Sometimes these redcoats seem to be single-mindedly searching for the aforementioned lost treasure. Even more horrifying are the stories of bizarre skeletons clad in armour roaming around the woods. One witness, called Jesse Hudgens, recounted in 1926 that he had been accosted by a group of strange figures carrying lanterns that emitted an unearthly radiance. As he got closer, he realised that they were all skeletons dressed in some kind of archaic armour, one of whom approached and brandished an ancient sword menacingly at him. In another incident, a man's car had broken down on an isolated road in the woods when he was approached by what he also described as a skeleton wearing armour. The figure drew near to his car and reportedly asked Is this the King's Highway? I've lost my ship. The petrified man ran for his life, abandoning his vehicle. Various spectral animals also roam the area. One such unpleasant haunting is two black phantom dogs who are seen pouncing from the undergrowth to terrorise visitors, attacking cars and trucks and pursuing people before suddenly disappearing. There have also been sightings of ghostly black horses, phantom crows, and even eerie headless cows trotting about in the woods. Some visitors report a deep sense of dread when they approach the Old House woods, and a feeling that their breath is being sucked out of their body. Others report strange orbs of light dancing in the trees, a mystical green glow which is said to envelop the whole area, and strange, noxious clouds smelling of sulphur, and which become unbearably overpowering before disappearing. Paranormal investigators frequent the woods to gather photos and videos of spooky figures and unexplained lights, as well as EVP recordings of disembodied voices and footsteps, cannon fire, and a range of other manifestations which are not even evident at the time of recording. Of course, malfunctioning cameras, batteries, and electrical equipment are common in the strange psychic environment.